Okay, so we're going to make our transition, right? And I hope the transition isn't that scary, but I want to remember something that Professor Fanish was talking about, and that's that we sometimes think of AI and automation as really going after the low-end workers, right? But it could be coming for managers and the rest of us, maybe even professors, right? So as AI and automation moves into knowledge work, there'll be a very interesting relationship between how high-end knowledge workers interact with AI, and hopefully it's a value-creating exercise. So, it's my great pleasure to actually be able to introduce Sinuhe Arroyo, involved in a very interesting company, Taiger.com, here in Singapore. So great to be able to feature a local company. Now, Sinuhe has an MBA from Chicago. We won't hold that against you.
Thank you.
Because he has a PhD from Chicago as well. So, okay, so that raises you up. Just kidding. Joke. Sinuhe, really looking forward to your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think there is a very good energy in the room, and I'm going to try to continue with it. I'm going to structure my presentation in three parts. The first part, I'm going to demystify a bit AI. I'm going to give you a fresh perspective on AI. Who thinks that AI and machine learning are the same thing? Raise hands. Who thinks that machine learning and AI are the same thing? Come on, stay with me.
No.
Okay, who thinks that information and data are the same things? Okay, you're very good. Maybe we move to the second part of the presentation very fast. The second part is going to be a bit about Taiger and my entrepreneurial journey. And the third part is going to be a bit of a vision that we have, try to give some ideas, some feeling as to what AI is going to bring upon our lives and what kind of changes we are going to see, kind of visionary type of thing. So I'm not sure how this works.
There you
go. Okay. So, brief introduction. I come from Spain, a small town called Segovia, north of Madrid, 55,000 people, beautiful. This is the aqueduct, no mortar, 32 meters high. Amazing. You should visit. Great food, too. The castle, the Walt Disney Castle was inspired in this one, right? So, very cool place. I enjoy outdoors. I have two beautiful dogs. I swim, I dive, I do Ironmans, I do all that crazy stuff, right? I learned how to program. I taught myself how to program when I was 10 years old. My father bought me this Amstrad CPC 128 kilobytes, and I learned how to program BASIC with that. As mentioned, I hold a PhD, not from Chicago booth, from the University of Innsbruck in computer science, in artificial intelligence, not in machine learning. I'm not a statistician. I'm not a data scientist. We'll talk more about that. And Chicago booth. Okay, let's move. Okay, so I think this is going to be fast. For most of the people, information and data are pretty much the same thing. This is around conception and information theory. A branch of computer science defines this very clearly. Information could be a structure or unstructured, and if it's a structure, it's data. So what you have on the right-hand side is what we call structured data. Data is only a structure. Data cannot be unstructured. Why is this so important? Because we are talking all the time about we have so much need for data, and data is so important for us. And the reality is that data is important for machine learning, but it only represents a very small subset of the total information. The rest of the information that the business deal with is emails, is contracts, is balance sheets and P&Ls, and this is not a structure. So it's very hard for the software to understand and deal with that part of the spectrum. When we see this picture, we understand that we are really scratching the surface of the iceberg, right? When we talk between data and information. I think this is a very important takeaway when you put into the context of what is going to come, what is going to be the future. Now we start to have technology that understands and structures information, that is able to read documents just like a human. Until now, that was not possible. We needed something like what we saw before with David Wong, which is the name, and 120 Kim Tian Place is the address. This is very good for the software. The software can understand that. Until now, the software could not understand the left part. But you know that already, so let's move on. What is AI? AI is intelligence demonstrated by machines. I'm struck. Many times we go to business meetings with customers, and they tell me, for me, AI is. And I look, we serve the financial industry. I say, what are you saying? For me, AI is. I mean, who are you to define what AI is? Do you see me coming to a bank and saying, for me, an equity is, a bond is, a commodity is? I mean, this is accepted knowledge, research, and there are some academics that have spent a lot of time in defining all these concepts. So same with artificial intelligence. This is not a new discipline. This is not the new kid on the block. We've been doing research for the last 60 years, 70 years. So there is a very structured and agreed upon definition as to what AI is and what are the different disciplines that embody AI. And as you know already, because I didn't see many hands rise, AI is not just machine learning. AI includes also other areas like knowledge representation, automatic reasoning, robotics, that is very familiar to you, planning, or perception, which is image and audio processing. In reality, you can map each one of these disciplines to a part of your body, right? The robotics is going to be the skeleton. The perception is going to be the eyes and the ears. The knowledge representation is going to be your brain, really, how you store knowledge in your brain. You perceive through your senses, through your ears and your eyes in this case, and then you store the information on your brain, right? This is, so in computer science, we have a way to represent knowledge in a machine-readable way. And this is the discipline that we call knowledge representation. And then with this database, with this knowledge base that we build, we derive new facts. Just like a human, we have our perception of the world stored in our head, and we see things, we perceive things, and we reason what action we are going to take next. So this is another area of AI that is called automatic reasoning that allows the system to take actions based on the perceived reality and the knowledge base. And it's not machine learning, this is logics. Then there are two approaches to AI, what we call narrow and what we call wide AI. Wide AI really is building a system that is able to answer everything in the universe. Like you ask it about biology, math, finance, is going to know absolutely everything. This is impossible at this time. The technology doesn't reach. So this idea of pieces of software that know absolutely everything is very beautiful. We want to get there, but it's science fiction. It's like building the house from the roof, right? But what we can do is build the house from the foundation, from the ground up. And this is what we call narrow AI. Narrow AI concerns itself with solving very specific problems, like playing AlphaGo or playing chess. These are being portrayed in the media as great achievements of AI, and then they try to establish the link as these things can think, these things can be applied to many things, right? It is not true. The truth is that AlphaGo is very good playing AlphaGo, but it will never be able to play chess. And chess, the Deep Blue is very good playing chess, but it will never be able to answer questions about biology, philosophy, or any other disciplines. So what we do when we try to apply AI to specific industry problems is try to narrow the scope of the problem to something that is meaningful, that creates value, but is approachable and doable with the level of technology that we have, right? And by combining all these very specific systems that do one thing, but one thing only very good, we can start solving problems in a hierarchical way, if you follow me. So here's the other part of AI that no one is talking about, right? Machine learning, we agreed, is statistics, the foundation, requires a lot of data, and is mostly mathematics, okay? There's the other part of AI that is called symbolic AI that combines these areas that we mentioned before, planning, knowledge representation, a portion of natural language processing, and reasoning. And the main difference is that a statistical approach is going to give you a number. as an outcome. And you have to interpret that number. Whereas the symbolic part concerns itself with understanding the language, understanding the sentence. What is the subject? What is the predicate? What are the nouns? What are the verbs? And more importantly, what do they mean? But not what do they mean on average, in general, every time that I see the word pound. What does it mean, the word pound, in this sentence, in this occurrence? Is it currency? Is it weight? Is it to hit someone? Is it to auction? Not with 80% accuracy on average, but saying, look, in this case, it means this and not something else. This is not something that is available with machine learning, despite the amount of data that we want to put in there. Is it important, all this, for the economy? I mean, we hear bells, right? And it's good to sell newspapers, but are we at risk that the concept of AI is going to be, a passing bird, flying bird, like we have some others in the past, keywords that are hyped, that are used, that are abused, and then they just go away? Well, I am disappointed because I think, as I mentioned before, I don't think the majority of the population understands what AI really means. And I think the media has done a very poor job in communicating all this. But AI, as you know now, is not just one thing. It's many things. And the ultimate purpose of AI is to build something that behaves, acts, moves like a human, thinks like a human, right? And in that capacity, it's not something that is going to go away. I'm involved now in Singapore in many boards, and we are defining the roadmap of the government for AI for the next years, right? And we take input from many different sources. And this is one of the sources we are considering at the moment is Accenture. They put a study. Basically what it says that by 2035, Singapore has an opportunity, in other words, Singapore can double the size of its economy in 12 years by adopting AI as opposed to 23 that it will normally take it. This is a tremendous statement. Is it AI something that is going to go away? I mean, maybe we get tired of the term, but the impact that these technologies have, we are only starting to scratch the surface and to see. The most impacted sectors, as you can see on the slides, manufacturing, interesting in Singapore, of course, financial industry, and service industry. If you see, they almost double. I mean, it's tremendous, the growth that we see just by adopting AI. Of course, we all know these are projections. Projections we tend to overestimate in the future, underestimate the present, all these biases, but it might have some truth that we need to pay attention to. Okay, let's jump about Taiger, because I was made a special emphasis that it's important I talk a bit about my entrepreneurial career and what is Taiger and stuff. So Taiger is a young business that I started some 10 years ago. And the focus of Taiger is we are currently in 5 countries and expanding into 3 countries. As we speak, we are about to onboard 300 people over the next 18 months, 24 months. The focus is on serving the financial industry and the government in Singapore on increasing operational efficiency, which is very broad. But what we do really is we are able to read documents, unstructured documents, like contracts, like emails, with a very, very high level of accuracy that we contractually guarantee, no less than 90% accuracy, with no false positives, and produce the data, convert information into data, so that the systems can use it for onboarding, for corporate onboarding, for credit card onboarding, for different things. So we are really automating, as the professor said, not the lowest skill level worker. We are really automating and in reality augmenting, because we are not displacing anyone in the space. The cognitive workers, those jobs that require skill, experience, training, connecting the dots, right? I mean, reading a power of attorney is quite complex. It requires a lot of deep legal knowledge in the context of the business, and or reading a balance sheet or a P&L or a board resolution, things that we do with a lot of comfort nowadays. And this creates a lot of operational efficiency. So how did we come to do this? Is this something that I woke up 10 years ago and said, I got it. I'm going to do this for the banks because I know it's going to make us all so much money and we are to transform the world. No way. It was a very hard discovery process. This company is a textbook example of transition from academia to industry. Basically, I took my research and I started to shape it and try to build products out of that. And then we realized having a good idea or even having good technology is not enough. I mean, I'm sure all of you, and some of you I know are considering to start some businesses right after the MBA. We have tremendous ideas every day, the moment we wake up or even when we are sleeping. It doesn't matter. It's not about the idea. It's about the execution. It's about the day-to-day. You have to have a good idea, but that's not enough. But you have to have the resilience to see that idea through, and you have to have the surrounding around you that allows you, the ecosystem, that allows you to make that idea prosper and mature. Our problem was that our technology was very good already 10 years ago, but we were ahead of the market. So we had to do a lot of education as to what could be possible. And people still today, they look at us and say, we don't believe what you do. So, okay, why don't you talk to my customers, right? They will tell you. But yeah, that's and the other big challenge is, I think, and we are very blessed, I think I'm very lucky to be here in Singapore. We struggle a lot because where you start your business has a direct impact as to how your business is going to prosper, how fast it's going to grow, and what opportunities you're going to have. I strongly believe that not the best scientists or not the best computer scientists are in the Silicon Valley. That's a big statement. Well, recently in US, computer science school was ranked second worldwide after surpassing MIT, which was in third position. But why are companies thriving so much on the Silicon Valley? Well, simply there is a very solid ecosystem of financing, talent, knowledge. It's all built to make companies prosper. When I started back in Spain, or in Austria actually, that was not there. So it was really a lot of heavy lifting and really fighting against many odds and many things that as an entrepreneur of an very early stage business, you have no control whatsoever. And you are always going to lose that fight. Maybe you get lucky, maybe you are one of those outliers. I was not. From Austria, Spain, I moved to Chicago. I did my MBA there. My network was very strong. This is a B2B business. I thought this is going to be. No way. We didn't understand at that time that to sell in a country, you really need local people that understands the culture and is very good to communicate with that culture. But we didn't have the money to hire that people. So we had made a big effort to build a product, and now we were not able to put it into the market. What do? You have all these circular problems, right? You don't have money, then you have a product. You don't have a product, you don't have customer. You don't have customer, you don't have money. How you break it? It's like a hamster, right? Running, running, running. Eventually it breaks. And suddenly, by chance, and I believe now in destiny, energies, and all these things, this is a different conversation. I had been in Singapore because Chicago Boot had a campus here, and I met my girlfriend in Chicago, Vietnamese, go figure, right? And she followed me 1 year around the world trying to build my business. She went, you're struggling. Either you leave it or you try in a different setting. I said, why didn't you try in Singapore? And I came here. And then I started to tap into the Chicago Booth network, and I started to connect with the government, and I realized all the ecosystem, all the support that is available here. And my lesson, the lesson that I learned is the seed is the same. We were the same seed 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Of course, we learn and we improve. You cannot discount that. But where you plant the seed, whether you plant it on the desert or you plant it on a very fertile soil, it's going to make all the difference. So then when I see all these things about, wow, the entrepreneur, the founder, he's the only guy that matters, I say, bullshit. Bullshit. You have to be there as an entrepreneur and founder to take the weight and stand the ground when everything falls apart. But without your ecosystem, without your team, without the support, and without luck, it doesn't matter the idea that you have, how hardworking you are. is not going to prosper. So my lesson that I would like to share with you, and for sure some of you already are farther than that, is if you plan to start a business, go for it. It's a very rewarding job. If you plan to take venture capital, don't expect to make too much money in salary. Plan for the sale because they will not let you. And, but be strategic. Think, where are you going to start it? What are the levers that what is your sweet spot? What is your competitive advantage in terms of why you start this business here rather than some other place? And now we're all very mobile, so it's quite easy. I'm not sure how we're doing with time. Okay, so I think I'll leave it here. We'll do the visionary stuff some other time. I'm happy to take some questions now.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, fascinating example company here in Singapore. So let's take a few questions.
Just a quick question on your company. Are you still in? Are you heavily productized your approach, or are you still very consultative, engaging with banks, financial institutions to deliver this sort of AI capability?
It's heavily productized, but still, because of the nature of customers that we have, it's not like you just ship it. It's a consultative sale. So we normally use the usual suspects, Accenture, Deloitte, all these guys to really put in the market our products. And that's particularly important when you're small because that increases your capillarity tremendously. You don't have the ability to heavily invest and really build your direct sales force, and oftentimes you don't even want to do it. Yeah.
Do one of these up here.
Hi. Your product, right, is the core of your value proposition. How do you protect it being small and to competition or even to internal who may have the temptation to do it somewhere else? I think that's entrepreneurs' critical questions on protecting themselves.
Yeah. When we sell, we say what we do. We don't say how we do it. And of course, everybody wants to learn the secret sauce. And sometimes you have to be ready to just walk away. So for example, I don't do business with JP Morgan. Well, biggest statement. Why? JP Morgan is not interested in buying my product. JP Morgan is interested on how do I do what I do so that they can replicate because they have, I don't know how many thousands of employees. You have to choose your battles and again, be strategic. Where are you selling? Who are you selling to? In technology, as a matter of fact, everything is going to converge eventually. So very much to your point, you have to protect yourself as much as you can. If someone finds your secret sauce, you're doomed. I give you already some hints, right? I told you we are not doing machine learning, and machine learning cannot do it. I told you some of the pieces of the puzzle that make this. This is as much as we give away. But a patent is not going to help you because when you patent, you already give something away. So the best strategy that I find so far, and that might evolve, is to trade secrets. You don't tell anyone.
I think we can take one more question.
So earlier you were talking about 90% accuracy. So is this today accuracy, is this a key differentiator and a key competitive advantage? And if so, do you think it's going to remain so as AI and this entire space becomes more and more commoditized?
It is a competitive advantage when you define the continuum from low accuracy and the technologies and the applications that live there to high accuracy. It might sound stupid or arrogant, but we find ourselves up there very lonely. So for us, it's a key differentiator. We contractually guarantee the outcome. So we sign contracts with our customers to say 90% accuracy, no false positives. So that is very important because it means that you don't need a human to review the outcome of the algorithm. You just take it as truth. And we tell you the other 10%. Yes, you use the human or your staff for that 10%, but not for the other 90%. Imagine that a scenario where I don't charge a license. Not true. Well, the operational efficiency, the cost reduction, if you just focus on that, is 90%. I mean, this is pretty good. And it takes us like seconds to process these documents, right? So it just skyrockets.
Well, thank you, Sinuhe.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much.